The night Monaco's golden palace lights shone brightest, a secret heartbreak was unfolding behind its gilded doors. The world saw champagne, couture, and royalty, but behind the smiles stood a mother in tears, a father in quiet fury, and a princess walking toward a marriage that would haunt her youth. At the center of it all was a man few truly understood, Philippe Junot. Suave, mysterious, and dangerously charming, he would become known forever as the first husband of Princess Caroline of Monaco, and the man whose brief union with royalty left scars deeper than headlines ever revealed. Philippe Junot, who has died at the age of 85, lived a life wrapped in elegance and ambiguity. A French aristocrat by name and a playboy by reputation, Junot moved effortlessly through Europe's elite social circles during the glittering decades of the 1960s and 1970s. He was handsome, impeccably dressed, and spoke with the confidence of a man who belonged anywhere power and privilege gathered. Yet beneath the polished exterior was a figure cloaked in unanswered questions about his fortune, his intentions, and his past. Born into a family with aristocratic roots, Junot cultivated an image of refined sophistication. He worked as an international businessman, often described as a financial consultant, though the true source of his wealth remained uncertain. This ambiguity only added to his allure. In an era when mystery was intoxicating, Philippe Junot became a fixture at exclusive parties from Paris to New York, charming socialites, artists, and heiresses alike. It was in this world of glittering excess that he met Princess Caroline of Monaco, the eldest daughter of Prince Rainier III and the legendary Princess Grace Kelly, the Hollywood star who had become royalty. Caroline was young, beautiful, and under immense pressure. As a princess raised under the watchful eye of a conservative royal household, her life was carefully curated, her future mapped with precision. Yet, like many young women of her generation, she longed for freedom, romance, and escape. Philippe Junot represented everything forbidden and therefore irresistible. He was older, worldly, divorced, and unafraid of scandal. To Caroline, he seemed like a doorway into adulthood on her own terms. To her parents, he was a walking nightmare. Prince Rainier and Princess Grace were deeply opposed to the relationship from the start. They viewed Junot as unsuitable, unreliable, and dangerously incompatible with the values of the Grimaldi dynasty. His reputation as a womanizer, combined with the uncertainty surrounding his finances and career, set off every royal alarm bell. Grace Kelly, who had sacrificed her own career for duty, feared her daughter was trading stability for illusion. But Caroline was determined. In defiance of her parents' wishes and the expectations of Monaco, she pressed forward. In 1978, at just 21 years old, Princess Caroline married Philippe Junot in a civil ceremony in Monaco, followed by a religious wedding in Paris. The event was lavish, attended by royalty and celebrities, yet the mood behind the scenes was reportedly tense and sorrowful. It was said that Princess Grace was visibly unhappy, her despair hidden only thinly behind royal composure. The marriage, from the very beginning, was fragile. Caroline soon discovered that love built on rebellion does not always survive reality. Junot's lifestyle, filled with late nights, social excess, and rumored infidelities, clashed painfully with her expectations of partnership. She found herself isolated, struggling to reconcile her royal responsibilities with a husband who seemed unwilling to change. What once felt like freedom began to feel like confinement of a different kind. Within months, cracks turned into fractures. Reports of Junot's affairs became impossible to ignore, and the emotional toll on Caroline grew heavier. The fairy tale had collapsed into loneliness, played out under the relentless gaze of the global press. By 1980, just 2 years after their wedding, the marriage was over. Their divorce was finalized, bringing an abrupt and painful end to one of Europe's most controversial royal unions. For Princess Caroline, the experience was devastating, but transformative. The divorce marked the beginning of her emotional maturation and reshaped her relationship with duty, love, and resilience. For Philippe Junot, however, it became the defining chapter of his life, overshadowing everything that came before and after. After the divorce, Junot retreated from the spotlight, but never entirely escaped it. He remarried twice, including a later marriage to the Italian heiress Anna Bettina Marighi di St. Marsin. Though he continued to move within high society, he remained a peripheral figure, forever linked to Monaco, forever remembered as the man who broke a princess's heart. Unlike Caroline, who went on to become one of Europe's most respected and dignified royal figures, Junot's legacy remained ambiguous. He gave few interviews and rarely spoke publicly about his marriage to the princess. Those who knew him described him as intelligent and cultured, but also restless, always chasing the next experience, the next conquest, the next moment of relevance. With his death at 85, the final chapter of a life, shaped by glamour and controversy, quietly closed. Yet the echoes of his most famous relationship continue to linger in royal history. Philippe Junot was not a villain in the traditional sense, nor was he a hero. He was a man of his time, seductive, flawed, and emblematic of an era when charm could open palace doors, but character determined whether one stayed inside. For Princess Grace, the marriage represented one of her greatest maternal sorrows. She had seen Hollywood illusions before and understood how easily fantasy could dissolve. Her fears proved tragically accurate, and many historians believe the heartbreak weighed heavily on her during her final years. Today, Philippe Junot is remembered less for his business dealings or personal achievements and more as a symbol, a cautionary tale woven into the fabric of European royalty. His story reminds us that behind every royal headline lies a human cost, and behind every scandal, a complex truth. In the end, Philippe Junot lived as he died, enigmatic, controversial, and impossible to define by a single role. But history has chosen one for him nonetheless. The man who married a princess, defied a dynasty, and left behind a love story that was never meant to last.